how do you do your due diligence when you're picking which yields you're going to be farming? Because I've had bad experiences before with
Mhm.
certain protocols being hacked, but maybe you can give some insight.
Yeah, totally. So I guess first way I think about it is as layers. So those layers being you have the chain you're on. So first priority is chain security. There's only a few instances where everything on a chain, went down or collapsed. I guess the most obvious of these, it wasn't really like the chain was hacked, but Terra, any token that was on Terra went to Tartarus. So that's the uh, that's the first thing you look at. Second would be the protocol level. Third would be the pool, and fourth would be the specific assets that you're in. And so when people talk about exploits, typically it's at the protocol level, and the ways to prevent that are to look for a team that's reputable. Being doxxed isn't totally necessary, but having some sort of history in the community is good because then they have that reputation that they likely don't want to burn. Also, not a bad idea if they're doxxed to someone, even if it's not to the public, right? Some protocol teams will say, oh, we're on Polygon, we're doxxed to the Polygon team. And that to me is also very good. Also, just general longevity, right? If you have an example of a dev who built something solo for over a year, as was the case with Gains Network, then that's his life work in a sense, right? Maybe not life work, but it's the project he's working on. Probably that's not something that the dev is going to run away in a weekend. Second thing, besides team, is you want to look at whether it's been audited, and not all audits are created equal. You want to know the reputations of the different auditors, know that it's not some audit farm where they pay a few $100s and then get a stamp. Also, you want to actually read the audits. Most of them are not that tough to understand because I've had times where a protocol posted they were audited, and then you go and you look at it, and it says, two critical exploits that weren't fixed. And so that's something that you could easily prevent yourself from getting rugged just by actually looking at the audit and seeing that they didn't fix those exploits. And because there's so many opportunities in crypto, usually I have a very low tolerance for that sort of thing, where it if they don't check all the boxes, then I'll look for another opportunity because there's a dozen opportunities a day. And I think those things have kept me pretty safe overall. I would say third thing is, this is just a rule of thumb, is where in crypto where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So first sign that something is wrong, whether that's the devs going dark, devs banning people from the Telegram group for asking reasonable questions, community becoming excessively cultish, I'm usually out. Usually that means that even if there's more upside, it's going to be limited.
Oh, those are some fantastic points, and it's a great reminder that I think probably all of us have fallen into some of those traps before that you just raised. I can really think back to some of the communities that I was part of, and as you become a bit more savvy, you really you see the flags, but
Mhm.
sometimes when you're inside, you don't notice.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I say these things because I got screwed multiple times in 2021 for not following these rules, right? Luckily, I've learned most of them since. And, sometimes, for example, now I'll be invested in something and then I'll post something that I consider to be bullish. Like I'll post a stat that I consider to be bullish. And then someone responds basically saying that I'm not bullish enough. And to me, that's usually a sign that it's time for me to take serious profits because, that sort of either excessive expectations, excessive hubris is is one of the best top signals that I found. And I know it's kind of arbitrary, but there's been multiple times where I took profits on something within a week. And I'll give you an example. And this is a protocol that I'm still invested in and I've since bought back into. But back in September, I posted something about GMX revenue, I think, and then um, someone replied to the post saying, oh, like it's actually higher, and they were wrong. I don't know where they got their numbers from. They were wrong, but they were responded saying, oh, it should have been higher, and it was within like 2 days of that local top that I got that comment, and I actually took significant profits then solely because of that comment, and then was able to buy back in lower.
Yeah, wow. There's yeah, very much particular top singles that I've seen out there. I also say like if somebody gets a tattoo of the NFT collection, I'm completely out as soon as I see that posted and shared,
What about
or a tattoo of
tattoos of
or a tattoo of the
what
token.
about tattoos of fungible tokens? I mean, that remember that happening last year as well.
People are crazy.
Yeah, that's
Like they say, don't marry your bags.
exactly. Oh, I like to say bet on Colts, but don't join one. I love investing in a token that has an extremely strong community if it's early, but you don't want to join it yourself because then you're going to have a really tough time taking profits, and your reputation is going to be tied to it. Even if you got in low, that's the problem, right? For people who are aspiring to be influencers,
Yeah.
I know people who, for example, bought into Luna under $1. This is Luna Classic now for people who have gotten into crypto since the summer, but they bought into that under $1, and then were posting about it up through when up over $100. So if you got in when they got in, when they were recommending, you did great. You got 300x, 200x. But the problem is that most of their followers joined when? Most of their followers joined when it was already over $80. So most of their followers never took any profit and lost tremendous amounts of money. And even though those people got in early, because they had tied their reputation to that one project, their reputation tanked and will have a tough time ever recovering, even though the person did almost everything right.
Yeah, and that's the issue with giving like I want to say investment advice or like I guess this trading advice is it's the timing thing and it's like I was reading one thing about luck and they're like even if you copied everything that a billionaire did to a T, you couldn't do the same thing that they did because you lacked their luck. And luck is like a combination of being in the right place at the right time. So it's like timing is big on these trades, especially. And it's just like, it's really hard to transfer that luck onto a audience of people that receive the information at different times.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's one of the reasons personally, just as someone who creates content, I try to focus on what's happening rather than making I do make some general predictions about narratives and things that I find interesting, especially coins that I think are doing things unique. But it's it's easy to generate a lot of hype by being over the top, excessively bullish about things. But even if you execute correctly, many people will not. Either they won't take profits, or they'll wait and then buy in later, or they'll just make a dumb mistake and get rugged and then blame you. So it's really really tough to make content with that's valuable to people without giving that advice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine trying to teach someone how to play with fire over the phone. It's pretty much kind of like doing that. So, it's something that I do try to stay away from also, especially since I came from the TradFi space. So anytime I hear like recommendations, I get kind of sketched out.